Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. It's interesting to see how the typical lemming retail speculators respond to various market conditions. For instance, not literally nobody, but so many people in the world of crypto weren't paying attention to XRP pretty much at all, even though it's been around for over a decade, and one of the most well-known cryptos in history, frankly, one of the most adopted, one of the most useful. But still, all sorts of lemming retail speculators in crypto leading up to the United States election when XRP was about 49 cents just weren't paying attention to it. It's been in this range of accumulation for years and years and years, and it was obvious to so many reputable chart analysts that it was about to pop, but nobody, not literally nobody, but nobody was paying attention to it, right? And it's interesting because after XRP has now run up, and we're in a bull run, so there's no reason to think, for tons of reasons I've been articulating for a long period of time now, there's no reason to think that this is the moment where it's actually over. XRP hasn't even hit a new all-time high yet. We haven't had the crazy euphoric moment with the blow-off top, with the mania where it's impossible for a brief period in time to never buy something that isn't going to go up in terms of price, which is pretty much what it was like in 2017. But it has happened after XRP had its dramatic run up to the upside of, hitting about $2.90. Obviously, it pulled back a little bit and been moving sideways the last few weeks. And what have the typical lemming retail speculators been doing with XRP? And what have they been doing with crypto in general? They've been, certain ones of them, panic selling. I mean, think about the liquidations we've been talking about over the last week, even just the last week. You've been seeing record liquidations in recent weeks. Absolutely astonishing. And this is the time where it's most exciting to be an XRP holder, and people are literally getting liquidated. I mean, it's their own decisions here, but, the typical lemming retail speculators, they do tend to behave a bit different than people who are a little bit more savvy and have been in markets for more than 5 seconds, right? And so it's interesting that what we're seeing here, something, it's human behavior, indicating tremendous fear, it actually marks tremendous opportunity, specifically for us here as XRP holders. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to share with you a few examples of exactly that. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so here is a post from on-chain analytics firm Sentiment, and they posted this on Monday. And check this out. This totally nails it, as they frequently do. Sentiment is fantastic. They're just so data-driven. I'm a big fan. Anyway, crypto markets have opened the week retracing further, instilling panic toward the retail crowd. Folks, that's what I somewhat jokingly call the typical lemming retail speculator. And it mocks a little bit, but with a little bit of love, because even if you're the type that has done that and who hasn't been emotional at some point in their life in crypto, you can learn that it's not useful to be that way. You can learn about human psychology and investing. You can learn about what's happened in terms of human behavior, investing in the stock market for over 100 years, and what humans have done investing in crypto for about 16 years at this point. And you can see the same types of things keep happening over and over and over again, and you don't have to keep doing the same nonsense things that don't work. But here, on the whole, and this is the message that this is a key takeaway, on the whole, our species will continue to do the same types of things over and over and over again, but you, on an individual level, you can learn and do different things. Absolutely, that's the case. You don't have to behave like the crowd that keeps getting wrong-footed. There's too much opportunity to squander it here. And so anyway, then they say, particularly Bitcoin and Ethereum are seeing massive FUD from newer traders who joined markets in the past 2 to 3 months. And so I will pause note here. Yes, that is indeed correct. So I think we're going to see way, way, way larger quantities of new people jumping into crypto, probably in the first half of 2025 if history is to kind of rhyme with itself. But even over the last couple months, it's not surprising to see that they're writing this. It is true. After the United States election and seeing who won, All sorts of new people have been jumping in, and I'm sure that some of you are brand new and listening right now, in which case, welcome to the party. But please understand that we've been talking about your kind, meaning new people, jumping into crypto and how they behave for years and years and years. And no offense, I'm having a little fun the way I'm wording this, admittedly, but no actual offense. Like, you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know that there's 20 million ways that you can screw this up, and almost all of it, at its core, has to do with your human emotion. It really does. You just have to be careful here. And that's what Santiment is highlighting here. It's the people, the typical lemming retail speculators, and especially if they're new, they're more prone to disaster. That just is the case. And so then they write, these new traders have not seen mid-sized corrections before and are expressing panic over foreign market conditions to them. Okay, I will pause to note, as somebody who has been holding XRP now for over 7 years and has never sold a single XRP throughout all of that volatility, I got to tell you, what is happening now is not remotely fearful. I mean, it doesn't instill fear in me anyway. You know, I rode XRP when I first bought it around 21 or 22 cents. I don't know, it was around there anyway. Rode it up to almost $4. By the time March, and there's much more volatility than this in between, but just some key points that come to mind. After riding it almost to $4, I remember in March of 2020, rode it down to 10 cents. And you know what happened a little over a year later? It was at $2, in April of 2021. And then back down, and ultimately back up to almost $3. And here we are, $2.20 something. It doesn't matter in the end. That's the point. That's the key takeaway. In the interim, none of it matters. Either XRP goes to zero because we're all wrong, or one day it does hit a new all-time high. That is the binary bet that I'm making anyway. Anyway, Santiment continues. Historically, when retail traders begin to sell based on panic and emotion, whales and sharks have opportunities to scoop up more coins with little resistance, creating bounces. It may or may not be immediate, but conditions are setting up in the right direction. Well, wouldn't you know it? And look, there have been so many videos over the last, probably better part of a week at this point, where I've been highlighting, hey guys, the whales over the last 24 hours, they've been buying again. And then the next day comes, hey guys, the whales over the last 24 hours, they've been buying again. Sound familiar? Well, we're in a bull run, and the people who have money, they have it for a reason. They don't invest based on emotions. They respond differently than the typical lemming retail speculators. Don't they? Well, yes, of course they do. And so they're happy to purchase the fear from people who are panicked, and they just want to get out of the position. That is exactly what happens. And it keeps happening. Case in point right here. Is this the next one? Where did that post go? It's right here, actually. Okay. This is from... chart analyst Ali Martinez wrote, whales bought another 40 million XRP in the last 24 hours. Posted it just last night. There have been so many instances of this. And what did Santiment state? Yes, when people are panic selling, again, that's exactly what happens. Whales and sharks have opportunities to scoop up more coins with little resistance. What I'm telling you is that's what the smart money's doing. Now, the reason this matters is because when the whales stop doing this, that's the time to be fearful. Not at the point when they don't get wrong-footed. When they're buying, think about it, folks. There's somebody on the other side. If you're selling because you're scared or whatever your reasons are, there's somebody on the other side of that bet. Even as XRP was moving down close to like $1.96 recently, there's somebody who's like, ooh, this looks good. And if your reason for selling is, I'm scared it might go even lower, well, who's on the other side of that? Food for thought, just saying. Here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto. He thinks number go up for XRP. He wrote, and this is just from like several hours ago, roughly. XRP currently trading back at my original entry on the XRP long I shared earlier, so securing profits looks like it was the right move. Now, I got to pause a note. Credible Crypto has publicly stated many times the vast majority of his crypto wealth is in long-term holdings. However, he's a chart analyst and he is a trader, which is bad for almost any human. To be honest with you, like, it's clear there's no shortage of data on this. Probably about 95% of traders and markets lose money ultimately. not a good value proposition there. And so I don't do it. I have no interest in doing it. I don't need that type of stress in my life. I don't need to spend that amount of time, especially not when you can just hold stuff and do nothing after you buy stuff in crypto and then to get thousands of percentage in terms of returns. I don't need to trade. I don't need to tinker with my portfolio. I don't need to get in and out of positions. I don't need to try and time the market or do dumbass stuff like that. Like the people who have success, I'll tell you this, the people who have success, it's those people who remove as much of their own human interaction from the process as possible. That's the truth. And this is why I don't have a course to sell you, because I'm just telling you, like, this is the case. Like, I wish I would be next if I had like the magical bullet that could just make everything work for everybody. And I'm the one that found it out. Yes, you can buy a course and you can buy a course. It's $150 for all of you, or maybe $1,000. I'll charge whatever the hell I want because it's so valuable, right? But that's not the truth. The truth is much more simple than that. It's just that humans have a lot of trouble doing nothing, which is what it takes after you buy stuff to be successful in investing. It's true in the stock market, and it's true here. And I knew that before I jumped into crypto. You buy stuff, and when it comes to investing in stocks, boring stuff works. Like buying ETFs that track the S&P 500. You buy it, and then check it in a few decades. There you go. So I applied a similar mentality to crypto. I was like, oh, well, if I'm right about crypto and it's going to really be here to stay, then there's going to be a certain amount of coins that are going to have long-term viability. So I'm just going to have broad exposure and keep tracking it. And there you go. And wouldn't you know it, here I am 7 years later. And yes, the answer is yes. You just have broad exposure for a long time and let number go up. It really is that simple here. And so it's a credible crypto. He is doing that with most of his holdings. But he thinks it's about to get really bananas in short order, in fact. Check this out. He wrote, with that being said, the XRP BTC chart below looks absolutely fantastic, so I will be looking to position long once again for another trade in the coming days. Still the most bullish looking chart in the entire space off the lows, in my opinion. Just a powder keg building resistance, or pressure rather. So that's the sentiment that I keep seeing from tons of different analysts. Here's a post from chart analyst Javon Marks. XRP USD chart here. XRP's 4-hour chart is coming off of a hidden bullish divergence confirmation, which suggests a full near plus 30% recovery back to its 2024 highs of $2.91, and a continuation above, which can lead to new all-time highs and higher. This could be a matter of when. Okay, that is what I keep seeing from every analyst that I follow who called the breakout that we saw in November. All of them say this. Not literally exactly the same thing in terms of what the exact resistance and support levels are and not exactly when the timing would be, but this cycle, much sooner than later, and yes, all-time high. All of them. All of them that called the breakout, yes. And I think they're much more worth listening to than the people who say it's not going to happen, because the people who say it's not going to happen, those dumbass analysts, they didn't even know that XRP was going to break to the upside, and probably because they have XRP derangement syndrome, because their brains are applesauce. Not interested. No thanks. No thanks, but no thanks. Here's a post from Charting Guy. Red week 2 of 3 done, and this is from the 22nd. And he said, XRP should now have one more red week, hopefully small, like 1%, lol. Then from the end of December to late January, we go on a face-melting 4-week rally to new all-time highs. This is if we continue to follow 2017 as we have been since election. Okay, this plays off of a theme that I was highlighting in my very last video, because tons of analysts have been saying, what's most likely is that the next time we have a big move for XRP, it's not going to be down to the downside, although it could happen. What is more probable is a dramatic move to the upside. And that next leg up, especially if it's tracking 2017, as he thinks is the case here, would be to a new all-time high. And since we're in a bull run, you don't have to wait long times before you see another major burst. You're in the depths of a bear market, and there can be years of sideways and downward price action, accumulation, so on and so forth. We're in a bull market. Not the case in these historically. We're not going to have to wait that much longer. So are we in alt season? Okay, so to be clear here, like Not every analyst that I follow says that we're in alt season. A number of them do, and a number of them have been silent, and a number of them say we're about there. And the truth of the matter is, it depends on what you mean by alt season. The question is, what's the litmus test? Well, the truth is, there's no organization out there that gets to define, and they're so holy, and they're above everyone else, and they get to decide what it is to be an alt season. And so the truth is, reputable analysts out there, like, they have this idea of what that is and what qualifies as that, and then they will say, based on their perspective, which is subjective, whether or not we are or are not in an alt season, right? That is what it is. So when you see somebody say yes or no, we are or we are not, keep that in mind. Because the people that are saying we are versus the people that are saying we're not, if they were to come together, if they're worth their salt, they would agree on the facts. And what you find is you need to agree on the definition of alt season, or else you're just talking past each other a lot of the time. That's the case. So Charting Guy here is arguing we're in alt season. Okay? And so I find the argument compelling, but again, it depends on what you mean by alt season. And the way he's talking about, well, yeah, obviously, to me, the answer is yes. But anyway, so he wrote, for those who keep asking, when alt season? It's been here for almost 2 months now. It started the day Trump won. If you can't realize this, I don't know what to say. Okay? Now, he added some additional thoughts, and he wrote, there are ignorant people in my comments. So he reposted what I just shared with you, and there's some people who he's calling ignorant. He says, there are ignorant people in my comments who, for some reason, are trying to argue against this. On election day, Bitcoin dominance daily relative strength index topped. Its relative strength topped. Then it has a few weeks of slow chop forming a bearish divergence. And boom, huge sell-off mid-November to early December. Now making a new lower high in relative strength index, crossing back down. It's cooked. Wake up, Neo. Alt season is already here. And I do want to be clear here, especially if anybody's new to crypto right now, you might be saying it's cooked. But what's that mean? Well, he's talking about the dominance of Bitcoin, the percentage of the market that Bitcoin has. And it's very normal, even in bull runs, for Bitcoin dominance to decrease, even as the price goes up. It just means that altcoins are outperforming. They have a larger percentage in terms of market share of like the overall market. And so he's been saying, yeah, we're here. And so again, obviously, I mean, let me look at this. Okay, so as I record this, the market cap for the crypto asset class is 3.3 trillion. That's over $1 trillion more dollars than right before the election happened, like a little over 6 weeks ago. And a ton of that actually, it is altcoins. Big chunks of Bitcoin too, sure. But think about that. So it depends. Like if you have a big jump like that, he's saying that counts as alt season. If somebody says it doesn't, that's subjective. That's an opinion. And so that's what it comes down to here. I don't see the analysts that I follow, disagreeing on those very basic facts. It's what they're disagreeing on is a subjective perspective of what the definition of alt season is. That's it. So I say, oh, okay. But a lot of times, again, people talk past each other. This happens in politics all the time. Like, even if you agree on the facts of stuff, you're using words and you have different ideas of what the definitions are. And then you're just like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. But then you actually agree on the fact. That stuff happens all the time. Anyway, and then there's also this. He continued, and he said, look at the top 100 altcoins gained since the election versus Bitcoin. I bet you 90% of them have outperformed, and by a lot. Yes, it's the early innings, so for some it doesn't feel like much, but it's effing here. Wake up. Side note, many saying Dino Coins pumping isn't alt season. Dino Coins will rule this cycle, and I've been saying it for 2 years. It's 2017 again. Wake up. Okay, that's the primary reason I want to highlight this. XRP is a quote-unquote Dino Coin, and it is glorious. It is outperforming the vast majority of other top 100 coins. Yeah, it's going to be a stunner to anybody that, not to me, but to it, because I expected this, but to anybody else who's just an irrational XRP hater. Number go up, my friends. Number go up. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.